Okay, so this is about one series of stamps issued in Spain in 1907. So the question is this a Cinderella stamp or is it a semi-postal stamp or something else? It was issued in 1907 in conjunction with the Industrial Fair in Madrid. That fair was the result of the catastrophe of the Spanish-American War, which in 1898, which revealed to Spain as nothing else had how backward a country it was. It was virtually a medieval country in many ways. And among artists and politicians, there came what was soon called the generation of 98 in Spain. That was a group of people who were questioning every aspect of Spanish society, wondering how in the course of about 75 years, Spain had lost its entire empire, had fallen so far behind its neighbor France, not to mention Germany, Britain, and North America. So they put this fair on in Madrid. The idea of the fair was to show the rest of the world that if you come to Spain and you invest, we have smart people here and you can have a profitable and successful enterprise. Also, Spain will advance, which is what they want. This is a poster from the exhibit. I'm sorry, it's kind of blurry. I couldn't get a cleaner copy of it. It was, the fair was called the Exposition of Madrid Industries, which is a subtle difference from the Exposition of Industry at Madrid. It emphasized stuff, commercial activity that would be profitable in Madrid itself, not entirely throughout Spain. That is because the sponsors of the exhibition were mostly in Madrid itself. So a series of 6 stamps was issued. People will say, well, no, there are 7 or there are 9, depending on shade differences later on, because there were reprints and indeed there were forgeries of these stamps. But the question here is, what exactly are they? This is the set of 6, the minimum one. You can see it's one design with just different colors and denominations, featuring King Alfonso XIII and his wife, Queen Victoria Eugenia.
I always thought they looked kind of surprised to see each other in the.
That's funny you say that. I was thinking the same thing when I put this together. I said, like, oh, what are you doing here? The king, that portrait is taken from a photograph. And if you straighten that out in your mind, you will find that that portrait is on regular issue stamps of Spain. So yes, all they've done is tilt it in a sense. As for the technical way of doing that, I'm not sure. This is one of only a few portrayals of Queen Victoria Eugenia. And there are only, I think, about 6 other stamps, and they are semi-postals or special issues that have her on it. And generally speaking, when she's on, he is blocking most of her face, like jealous vaudevillians trying to get in front of the other person. But I think they're very attractive stamps, but they're all just one design. Just to put it in context, Spain did not issue many commemorative stamps at this time. The commemorative issue just ahead of it is the Don Quixote issue of 1905. And that looks like some kindergarten kid that put that together. I mean, that is really a poorly designed and printed typographed stamp. And it's not until 1920, of course, there was the war, although Spain was not in the war, but it was not until 1920 until the next commemorative issue from Spain was put out. And I think you can compare the difference in the quality of the product itself. This led me to not a rabbit hole, but a cul-de-sac. I couldn't find any place who engraved and printed the stamp. It almost looks like it was printed in Britain or something like that by one of the great companies there. The Scott catalog does not recognize these stamps. All it does is give you a little box saying that these stamps were sold at the exhibition, they have a value, and that they were reprints and so on. But it does not consider them to be postage, and they do not get Scott numbers.
It's funny, they say correos on the side,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
That means postage.
They say España and they say correos,
Yeah.
both. And so you would think you could put them on an envelope. The Michel catalog, as usual, gives a little more information,
Mhm.
but Michel also does not put it in the main sequence of stamps of Spain. You see the numbers it gets, A, I,
Mhm.
and then a small A, B, C, D, F. They are listed that way, and I could not fully interpret what the AI means. Maybe it's for Ausstellung or something like that.
Uh-huh.
It could be Ausstellung Industriale or something,
Right.
but I couldn't find in the Michel catalog the use of AI as any kind of cataloging category. So the German catalog, Michel says, in my translation, letters mailed from the exhibition post office had these stamps attached to them by postal officials. I should have said postal officials of the exhibition, because they were not representing Spain itself. They were added in the same value as the postage that Spain, the nation, was requiring for these things to go through the mail system. So they were, in a sense, sold as vanity items. You could say that you could mail it to yourself, and then you could say, I went to that exhibition and I bought these stamps to put on my postage. And I suppose if you wanted, you could have put higher value stamps on a letter.
You could put them on a letter, and as long as you had enough of a normal postage, you could add these as vanity items, as Roger put it. I think that's a good phrase.
Yes, I think that's what's going on here. Spain demands postage from you to deliver the letter.
Yep.
The exhibition demands money from you to put this on, and it will only be put on at the exhibition post office.
But the quote you have here, it says letters mailed. It doesn't say all letters mailed or optionally letters mailed. Could be. We don't know whether it was a required thing for anything mailed there.
Now you got to go down the rabbit hole of finding a cover.
Yeah, here we have a logical problem, because we don't know whether letters means all letters or some letters.
Right. I'm leaning toward the fact that they were not required. I don't have an answer, and that's why I went through this actually to try to get closer. Surprisingly, the Edifil National Catalog of Spain does not include them either. My catalog is from 1998. Maybe something has changed. But it is normal practice and normal experience in this hobby that when you get to the national catalogs, they start throwing all kinds of stuff into listings, even if they don't put them into the main sequence. So I came across one thing online that says that Edifil catalogs these under the category SE, but I don't know what, I couldn't find any SE in my 1998 catalog. But I was surprised, because normally a national catalog will include everything under the sun, because they want to please collectors. And these stamps, by the way, I know many people who collect Spain. Everyone likes to have these stamps. They're pretty, they're also very informative. And here you go, as Alan was saying, this stamp explicitly says España, Correos, and yet it isn't. So I couldn't get to the Collectors Club to do any bookwork on this because they're not open yet, as far as I know. So I depended entirely on catalogs, as I've indicated, and on stamp forums. I don't know if you guys ever look at stamp forums. They can be very informative. Some of them are free, some you have to join, but they really can tell you a lot. And these are some quotes I edited to emphasize the point. What are these stamps? And this is what people say. On the left, this is the Cinderella side. On the bottom, not issued by the Spanish Postal Service, therefore Cinderellas. But others say, no, these are semipostals, as I think, was it Steve implied? That, or as Phil said, they're sort of a tax, but it's voluntary, it seems, to pay this tax.
That's the question. Was it voluntary at this exhibition, or was it required if you were going to mail it at the exhibition?
Right. I could not give a definitive answer for that. So some people call them semipostals, some call them Cinderellas. I
That
don't
doesn't
really
seem right. They can't be semi-postals unless they're valid for postage.
Well, that's the thing. I never heard of a semi-postal that was a separate stamp from another stamp that you had to use.
That's they're more
Semi-post-
like tax stamps. They're more like tax stamps. They're not themselves valid for postage, but they go with certain postages required.
Hmm.
Well,
Yes.
but tax implies that it's required.
Yes. So,
Tax
And we
implies that
don't-
it goes to the government, but
We
this
don't
went to
know
the
that these were
exhibition.
required.
yeah.
Yeah,
I would suggest that they are Cinderellas and not semi-postals. I think within the definition, my interpretation of semi-postal is that the money is paid to the post office. And then they forward that money to the necessary charity or whatever the money is being collected for. In this case, I don't consider them semi-postals because that money went directly to the exhibition committee. And
You
so,
couldn't pay for postage with it. With a semi-postal, you're always getting the postal payment as well as the charity.
well, I tried to call the cavalry in, but I didn't get a definitive answer.